It began with a flicker, a subtle anomaly dancing across the sensors of the SH spacecraft. At first, no one paid attention. After all, space is full of oddities, debris, flickers of light. But then came the image, not from a multi-billion-dollar observatory, but from a backyard telescope in Australia, where comet expert Michael Mattiato captured a spectacle that stunned even NASA. An object with a tail so massive it stretched across the sky. 5 full moons wide was suddenly there blazing toward the sun. But this wasn't just another interstellar visitor. It was something far bigger, far brighter, far more terrifying than anything we had ever encountered before. And just like that, the shadow of 3I Atlas was eclipsed because now a new contender had entered the arena. One that dwarfed Atlas not only in size, but in mystery. Officially named C-2025R2 Swan, this new object is not behaving like a comet, not acting like an asteroid, and certainly not moving like something that belongs in our solar system. Instead, it's emitting pulses, glowing with structured energy patterns. And most disturbingly, it appears to be following a schedule. The James Webb Telescope turned its gaze toward this cosmic colossus, hoping to reveal the truth. What it found changed everything because this isn't a rock. This is a machine. When astronomers first spotted Swan R2 on September 12, 2025, they couldn't believe what they were seeing. Using the SWN instrument aboard the SH spacecraft, they detected an object moving with extreme precision and luminosity. But 2 days later, things escalated. The amateur image captured by Mattiato showed something previously thought impossible. A tail stretching 2.5 degrees across the sky. That's the width of 5 full moons side by side. It dwarfed the tail of 3I Atlas and drew immediate attention from the scientific community. The International Astronomical Union rushed to classify it. But naming it wasn't the problem. Understanding it was. This wasn't just an icy body streaking past the sun. This was something different. When scientists compared it to 3I Atlas, the difference wasn't just in size. It was in structure, speed, and behavior. While 3I Atlas appeared to exhibit thrust-like emissions, Swan R2 had a glowing plasma shield reflecting and bending the solar wind. A shield, not ice. And then came the orbit. It wasn't just passing by. It was returning. Swan R2 orbits the Sun once every 22,554 years, longer than the entire span of human civilization. That's when the questions truly began because objects don't follow orbits like that unless they are programmed to. James Webb, armed with its unmatched spectroscopic instruments, turned toward Swan R2 as it neared perihelion. What it found shattered every known category in astronomy. The spectral data showed a composition of nickel-cobalt alloy, an ultra-dense metallic structure never observed in nature, but often theorized in advanced engineering models. Even more alarming was the discovery of plasma emissions, tightly controlled and emitted in pulses, not the chaotic flares of natural comets. The tail wasn't ice vapor. It was exhaust. Dense, controlled, and chemically tuned. It contained carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, yes, but also dense streams of ionized nickel plasma. These weren't natural releases. They were thrust events, tiny corrections in trajectory, and the color shift from red to white-green during acceleration. That's not something nature does. That's the signature of a plasma drive adjusting its burn. Webb confirmed what many feared. This object is powered. It has a core and that core emits more than 10,000 gigawatt per second, a power level comparable to 2 black holes colliding contained inside a ship. As Swan R2 accelerates toward the Sun, another mystery unfolds. Its trajectory is not random. It is precisely calculated to converge with 3I Atlas at almost the exact same time, October 2025. On a cosmic scale, this is near impossible timing. Swan R2 is coming from Aquarius. 3I Atlas emerged from Sagittarius. Different origins, different vectors. Yet now their orbits are converging within 50 million kilometers of each other and shrinking fast. What are the odds? 2 interstellar objects from opposite directions meeting behind the Sun where no telescope on Earth can see them. This isn't coincidence. This is choreography. Some scientists believe Swan R2 was sent to intercept 3I Atlas to retrieve it, destroy it, or initiate contact. Others believe both are part of a network, a surveillance system that operates on time scales far beyond human history. If that's true, the Sun is not just a star in their path. It is the focal point, the source, the gate. And these probes, these machines are responding to something we did. Perhaps our signals, perhaps our technology, or maybe simply because it's time. Here's where the story becomes even more unsettling. Archaeologists like Graham Hancock have proposed that Swan R2 may have passed near Earth once before, roughly 22,000 years ago at the end of the last ice age. And that's precisely when humanity began building monuments, star maps, and aligned pyramids that point directly to Orion, Aquarius, and the ecliptic path of the Sun. Were they tracking Swan R2? Were those ancient builders warning us of its return? Some believe so. The precision of ancient structures, the Great Pyramid, Göbekli, the Mayan calendars, all seem to suggest an awareness of cosmic cycles we only now begin to understand. If Swan R2 has returned, it means that what we call myths may have been memories, records of the last encounter. And perhaps this time we're not just watching it fly by. This time we might be involved in whatever happens next. Just 72 hours after the James Webb team published a redacted version of their findings on Swan R2, a wave of global retractions followed. NASA removed key spectral data sets from public servers. The European Space Agency issued a vague press release calling Swan R2 an unusual but explainable cometary object, and China's National Astronomical Observatory simply stated that their instruments were under maintenance. What caused this sudden synchronized blackout? According to an anonymous source within the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, several agencies were briefed on a classified memo circulating among Five Eyes intelligence nations. The memo warned of technological signatures inconsistent with natural origin and cited propulsive anomalies, symmetrical structure beneath the coma, and time-variable emissions suggestive of intentional maneuvering. In short, Swan R2 may not be a comet, and someone out there is trying to control the narrative. But the silence only fueled more speculation, especially because in that same time window, NASA quietly adjusted the orientation of Voyager 1's communications array, pointing it near Swan R2's projected path. Why? What were they trying to hear or warn? As Swan R2 approached the Sun, deep space radio telescopes from SETI and independent observatories in Chile and South Korea began to detect a low-frequency signal riding on the object's plasma tail. At first, it was dismissed as magnetosphere noise. But as researchers ran pattern analysis, the pulse revealed something disturbing. It wasn't random. The pulses were mathematical, repeating, symmetrical, and between bursts, they followed the Fibonacci sequence, a universal code found in the spiral of galaxies, the design of DNA, and the growth of seashells. These were not emissions of a dying comet. These were instructions, or worse, communication. Even more disturbing, the intervals between bursts were shrinking. Something was counting down. And the last burst, labeled Burst 8 by SETI, had a sudden power spike equivalent to a solar flare despite coming from deep space. As if the object was not just broadcasting, but preparing for something. Behind closed doors, several military space programs activated contingency protocols. The United States Air Force Space Command ordered the repositioning of secret surveillance satellites. Russia launched a sudden unscheduled rocket from the Places Cosmos drone with an unknown payload reportedly heading toward the ecliptic plane and China. Satellite data showed a fleet of nanocats altering their orbits to form a net-like pattern above Earth's northern hemisphere. Why all this movement? According to leaked briefings from the French Ministry of Defense, multiple nations believe Swan R2 may contain autonomous threat potential. Not necessarily a weapon, but something that could trigger chain reactions if it passes too close to the Sun. Some theorists argue it could be a relay node, a gravitational switch, or even a cosmic key designed to unlock something hidden in the Sun's magnetic field. Attempts to send reconnaissance craft have reportedly failed due to trajectory mismatches and excessive solar radiation. But the most chilling piece of information came from a recently uncovered conversation between two retired engineers from the Deep Space Network. "We didn't build Voyager 1 to just leave the solar system. We built it to watch what comes in." As the James Webb Telescope continued scanning Swan R2's structure, engineers noticed something no one expected. Beneath the bright coma and the electromagnetic tail, there was symmetry, radial geometry, fractal scaling, and a series of concentric arcs echoing the same golden ratio found in its signal pulses. In other words, this object has architecture. Webb spectrometry revealed periodic dips in reflected light intensity, similar to how we detect exoplanet transits, indicating a layered-engineered surface. The data points to something multi-chambered with metallic reinforcement and possibly even thermal insulation properties. Even more disturbing, several scans revealed open voids consistent with empty cavities, potentially hollow chambers or energy conduits. The object may be massive, but it's not solid. It's engineered for efficiency, perhaps to traverse interstellar space, absorb stellar energy, or contain something at its core. No asteroid, no comet, no natural formation has ever displayed these properties. Which leaves us with only one terrifying question. Who built it? As Swan R2 accelerated past Mercury's orbit, astronomers prepared for what they thought would be a brief occultation, a simple passage behind the Sun that would last a few days. But instead of reappearing on the other side, Swan R2 vanished completely. Telescopes expected to regain visual contact by mid-October. They saw nothing. No coma, no trajectory, no signal. For 6 days, the object was simply gone. It wasn't until a Chilean solar observatory equipped with ultraviolet detection picked up a sudden burst of high-frequency ion radiation that scientists realized Swan R2 had reappeared. But hundreds of thousands of kilometers off course, now approaching the Sun's southern pole, a region where solar magnetic field lines fold in on themselves like a Mobius strip. Why would a so-called comet alter course like that? Why move into a region known for gravitational anomalies? Some suggest it was a gravitational slingshot maneuver, but others argue something far stranger. Swan R2 entered a region of the Sun we barely understand, one that may conceal an interdimensional gateway. The question is, did it do so intentionally?